Good evening or good morning, depending on which part of the world you're joining from. Welcome to another session of Curiosity Talks. And for those of you who've been here before, supporting Curiosity Talks, supporting Wisdom Circle, and being part of this initiative, thank you so much. And it's great to have you with us again. And for those who are new to this segment, let me just explain who we are and what we do. So Wisdom Circle is a global platform connecting seasoned professionals and organizations to foster meaningful and mutually beneficial partnerships. But we are much more than that. Wisdom Circle reaches out to its community through Curiosity Talks, which is just one in a bouquet of offerings that we bring to them, a community of more than 100,000 members. So in my sessions, I have the privilege of hosting speakers like Leanne, who bring wisdom, information, knowledge, and unique perspectives on a variety of topics to curious folks like you. Welcome, Leanne, to this session of Curiosity Talks. It is my pleasure to introduce Leanne Poon, someone whose career defies easy categorization and in the best possible way. Leanne is a social impact chief of staff and program manager who recently made a deliberate leap from corporate to purpose-driven work. After nearly a decade at Google, she chose to step away and dedicate herself fully to initiatives that create meaningful social impact. Her journey reflects a blend of diverse experiences across finance, HR, and technology, including a collaboration with NASA, while also nurturing her own crafts business on the side, showing how professional reinvention can grow from curiosity, creativity, and a desire to contribute beyond traditional corporate paths. What strikes me the most about Leanne is not just what she has done, but how she has done it, with curiosity, intentionality, and a willingness to reinvent herself at every turn. She's deeply interested in the intersection of technology and compassion. And I think many of us in this community will find her path both inspiring and deeply relevant to our own. So to begin, Leanne, a big welcome.
Thank you.
And let me start off with a very, I think, obvious question to people who know you. You've worn so many different hats across your career. How do you describe yourself, and has that answer changed over time?
Thank you, Swati. And thank you, everyone. Hi, thank you for joining, and thank you for being so on time as well. I've worn lots of different hats in my career, and I would say right now, if I were to define myself, I am a generalist at heart. Specifically, I would say that I'm a connector of people and ideas. I am curious about many different things, and I have a big appetite to not only acquire new skills, but also to learn about the different stories and life paths of people that I meet. If I must define this professionally, then I am a chief of staff and program manager. And yes, this has definitely changed over time. I started my career in banking and then somehow landed myself in the world of HR. So HR is probably the domain expertise that I have. But throughout these experiences, I was always focused on honing my skills in that specific area, whether it's finance or recruiting or compensation. And in retrospect, it was really through the eyes of a sponsor at work who saw me as a generalist many years ago. She saw me as somebody who could do the work of a program manager, and she encouraged me to apply for a program manager role. And since then, everything just made sense to me. So yes, my career path has definitely changed over time, and how I describe my value add has also changed over time. Thank you.
So do you think it was important for that person to recognize that quality that you had?
Yeah, like without her, maybe I would have still taken the path that I have, but maybe it would have taken a longer time. So it is very important to grow your network, I would say. Having a sponsor is not a guarantee, because you cannot just ask somebody to be your sponsor. Usually it is the sponsor themselves who proactively do the sponsoring. And sometimes they do it behind the scenes. Sometimes they don't even tell you, right? That's probably some of the best kinds of sponsor as well. But it doesn't hurt, I think, to ask for mentors, to ask for coaches, to learn from other people. And I guess how I fell into the world of banking, of finance, was also because when I was in university, I found myself a mentor through some networking event. And so I wasn't targeting banking, but I met somebody who seemed very interesting in my conversation with her. And she happened to be in banking, and she told me about what she did. And that's how I became more interested in banking, did more research about it. And that's how I got my first job in the bank. So you never know where life's going to take you. And I certainly didn't expect myself to be in Singapore, to be now working in nonprofits. I just became very opportunistic in a way that if it comes up, if I'm not opposed to it, then why not? Let's just try it. That's always been my philosophy in life.
And was high impact work a part of your vision all the time, or did it evolve as you traveled on your journey? And at exactly what time did that pivot happen, or that turning point? What time did it happen?
Yeah, I guess growing up, my parents always taught me and my siblings to share. So I've always felt that it was the right thing to do, to support others, to give back. But I'd say that my journey really began when I was working in Tokyo during the big earthquake in 2011. While Tokyo wasn't hit that badly, I went up north to Ishinomaki with some friends. It was a city near the epicenter. So I went up there to volunteer, and the scene was devastating. It was like one of those movies about the end of the world. Houses were upside down, cars were on top of the houses, and there were ships that were washed up inland. So despite all of that, though, what stood out to me the most was the resilience of the locals there. Many of them have lost their homes, some even lost family members, but they were still trying to help one another. And I was put into a team to help rebuild a few houses over several weeks, and that experience really changed me. It gave me a profound sense of like I need to help others wherever I can. And so when the opportunity came up in 2016 to volunteer at an NGO school in rural Cambodia, I jumped on it. And I've been supporting them since then. It's been really rewarding to see the students grow up, to receive scholarships abroad, to get work in the capital. And best of all, many of them go back to the school to volunteer as teachers. One thing I want to share though, while I've enjoyed every moment of my volunteering journey so far, I've also been starting to think about the efficacy of how I spend my time and energy. In my role as a chief of staff, I'm always trying to find ways to take work off of my leaders' plate to free up their time so they can do what they do best and things that only they can do. Maybe it's senior stakeholder management or fundraising. So in a similar way, I'm trying to be more deliberate in how I spend my time now. There's an endless list of things I could do to help village students get a proper education, to help refugees displaced by wars or climate change, right? This list goes on. But I'm always thinking now, what do I do best? And am I the best person to do whatever it is? And that's also why I'm very intrigued by the effective altruism framework. I can talk more about that later if you'd like, but it's a way of thinking of how do you best contribute your time, your energy, money, right? So I would say I'm still on this journey. I am not doing everything effectively yet, and nor do I want to, because that feels like then I'm just working like a robot. I do want to balance that compassion with helping others through technology effectively, all of that. But I do want to be more deliberate and intentional in how I spend my time.
And do you think an event like the earthquake in Tokyo was that really transformational for you? And
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, before that, I had never been in a disaster zone like that before. And to be directly helping somebody who has lost so much, and they were still resilient. Again, like that really just stuck with me. Taught me a lot about life, and I think it just gives you a different perspective. Does it really matter if you get a promotion at work? I mean, it does, but is it the end of everything if you don't get what you really need at work when people are dying or people have lost their homes in an earthquake, right? So puts things into perspective.
with all that you do, Leanne, I always wonder what keeps you going. And what does motivation look like for you on a particularly tough day, or when you're having a difficult day?
Yeah. So, like I was just saying, to me, life isn't just about work. So, I have my family, friends, my dog, I have hobbies. Overall, I feel very lucky, very fortunate. So, even if the world is looking a little bleak these days, I do fall back on the real things around me that still give me joy, give me energy. And also, I really still believe in people being good. So as long as I'm able to even exchange a smile with one person a day, that makes my day. So for those of you also who might be familiar with Hans Rosling's work, he's a Swedish academic who used his research to show that over the past tens, hundreds of years, humanity has really improved from like child mortality rate to global pandemics. So while the day-to-day and recent history seems negative sometimes, I still remain a very optimistic person. It is hard, I acknowledge it is hard to do that, but I try to still stay positive every day.
And you do have multiple ventures. So, how do you prioritize? How do you allocate time for all of these?
Yeah, so I'll say again, like I'm still on that journey, especially because I just transitioned from like a corporate private sector corporate role into nonprofit. I've been very I was very eager, very keen to learn as much as possible, to meet as many people as possible. So I was maximizing my time a lot. But now that I feel like I'm a little bit more stable, I'm still learning, but I feel like I'm at a stage where I'm able to contribute with what I know now, still learning. I am trying to be intentional about how I spend my time and energy. So again, like I don't try to meet everyone I see at a networking event, for example. I did in the beginning because I didn't know who was who, right? But now I'm a little bit more aware of like maybe I want to meet more people from this particular sector or this particular cause. Not with the intention that I want to do business with them necessarily, but because I want to learn more about them, their work, and maybe they can connect me with certain people that I might be able to help. So I'm trying to be a little bit more targeted as well.
Mhm. And many in our audience today have a rich and varied experience that doesn't fit neatly into a particular job description. So, from your perspective, and what advice would you give if a person has to present themselves when you're not a perfect match on paper?
Mm. I mean, I was definitely not a perfect match for many of the jobs that I went into. I've been very fortunate again that people have given me an opportunity, given me a chance to prove myself. But these days, like when I was looking into moving into the social impact world, I gave myself a full year to find a new job, right? While I was still at Google, maybe like not a good thing to say, but while I was at Google, I was job searching, right? But I did a lot of research on the companies, the roles, the types of roles that I was looking for, and I wasn't mass applying for roles. Um, I wasn't trying to be too narrow, and it's a balance, right? I wasn't trying to say like I only want these companies, but I also didn't want to boil the ocean in how I approach my application or even just researching of companies and roles because I have limited time. But these days, I'll say like using AI as a thought partner has been a game changer for me because I don't have to go through so many different websites and look at so many different things to get an idea of how a company culture is or what the company does. So using AI has helped me a lot to streamline that research process. So I'll say really research on the types of companies, roles you might be interested in. And if you're not sure, then talk to people, right? That's what I did in the beginning too. Go to events that you might be interested in, talk to people. Every person you talk to, ask them, is there somebody else you think I should talk to, or somebody else that might want to talk to me, right? So expand your network that way, and you never know what you might find. It was also through these kind of like friends of friends of friends kind of conversations that I got to know more about the water scarcity problem. I've always known it's a problem, but never knew to what extent.
Yeah.
So I got connected to people from water.org to Imagine H2O. So a lot of water like players in the water world.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in that. So yeah, network, ask for referrals, research. And when you do apply, use that research to really tailor your experience, how you think you can contribute. Because I used to be a recruiter. So I would say like from the recruiter's point of view or hiring perspective, you you don't want to spend too much time helping to understand how the candidate can help you. You want the candidate to tell you how the candidate can help you, right? So if you don't think you have all the skills that the company is looking for, then try to come up with maybe you have transferable skills or like in a cover letter or even in the resume itself, explain how your skill, whatever you've done, can be transferable to what they're looking for. So really highlight those to make it easy for the recruiter to do their job. and hopefully you get an interview. But I'll say also just expect to fail. Expect that you won't get an interview every single application. You won't get an offer for every interview. Yes, Bhavana, you mentioned share what kind of roles are social enterprises looking for typically. Social enterprises, NGOs, they're just the same as any private sector company, right? So they have finance people, operations people, strategy. It depends on also the size of the organizations you're looking at. If you're looking at larger size like Gates Foundation or something, then it's really like a big corporation. They would have somebody in every single role type. They would need specialists, but like the kinds of social enterprises that I've been focused on that I'm working with right now, they tend to be smaller. So they function like a startup. So even like a private sector for-profit startup, right? So a lot of people are wearing multiple hats. So I think if you're a generalist or if you feel like you have some transferable skills, but not others, but you're willing to learn, that like a startup, smaller environment could also be relevant for you perhaps. And you're able to showcase that you're able to contribute because of your different diverse experience, transferable skills. Another thing I'll say also, because I only, like for full transparency, I only started my current role as a paid employee in February. Since I left Google, I was only doing pro bono work. So I was not being paid, and I deliberately offered that because most of the time people are not going to say no to free work. Because just it's hard to find free labor, right? So it's a way for me to prove myself and also to learn, and for them to see that maybe Leanne can do this, maybe Leanne can do that. So it was through that actually one of the pro bono work that I was doing was supposed to be more operations work. It became a head of growth partnerships work because the people at Hatch saw that I could do more partnerships, business development work for them. I'm still doing pro bono work for them. While my current role, I found them because they saw what I was doing with Hatch. So it just comes around. You can not expect to have this kind of result, but it just happened. But if I hadn't done that first step of pro bono work, then this cycle would not have happened. So don't be afraid to do pro bono. Don't be afraid to fail for a few times before you get something, I would say.
Yeah. So Leanne, I think the demographic that you're speaking to today at WisdomCircle are those who probably have 30, 40 years of experience in a company. And so that skill set is, very clearly defined, and they're excellent at that job. So for some of them who are stepping into a new phase of life, it is quite frankly frightening in case they have to take a pivot or if they have to do something different. So how do you approach learning something which is entirely new, something which takes you out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, similar to what I said just now about applying like applications. Learn, like be humble, learn, right? If it is truly something you want to learn, right? Talk to people and ask people to teach you things. I find that actually a lot of people are quite generous with their time. Of course, like don't spend hours asking somebody, but maybe just set a time limit. Like, can I like ask you about this specific topic? I want to learn more about this over an hour. I'll treat you to lunch or buy you a coffee or something, right? So I think it's, again, maybe not everybody will say yes to that, but there would be people who would take you up on that. So learn from people, go to networking events. I know networking events sound maybe like, it's like, you pass out business cards or something. It doesn't have to be like that. And maybe be more selective also in what types of networking events you go to. To me, like a good event is really a place for me to meet people who are different, but also like-minded. Different because I want to learn from them. I don't want to talk to the same people over and over again. Like-minded in that I want them to also be open-minded, generous in sharing, curious, right? Curiosity talks.
Yeah.
So I like those types of events. And usually if there's a topic that I'm interested in already for the event, then I would prefer to do that instead of just a general event where you just go and meet people. So if there's an anchor speaker or anchor topic, that makes it easier as well. So learn from people, take classes also. Like before I moved into the nonprofit space, I knew that I had gaps in my knowledge. Like I didn't know anything about grant making or nonprofit governance. So I took a lot of Coursera courses. There are a lot of free resources online that are just very helpful. You just need to take the time.
So I think that the aspect of craving mentorship, that's very important, as well as networking. I think keeping in touch with people from the field, with like-minded people, is so critical. Like we discussed, Leanne, to make this more interactive, we thought we would create some breakout rooms and we would get groups to talk amongst themselves. So we have around 40 people here. So would you say 8 rooms of 5 each would be good?
Sure, sounds good.
So would you want to explain what we want our groups to do?
Yeah, so I think the last question that Swati asked was a good question about how do you approach learning something new. So I'm hoping that instead of just me talking to you all, I think you all have a lot of experiences to share with one another as well. So hopefully when we put you into breakout groups, you can also talk and share how you approach learning something new, or maybe how you plan to do that if you haven't yet. So how's that?
Mansi, will you? I think we can make seven rooms.
Yeah, I'll make the breakout rooms and put the question on the chat so people can
Yeah.
discuss.
Yeah. And I see a question from Diane. Maybe I'll answer that after the breakout.
Sure.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah. So four of us were there, and from diverse fields, and Chanda ma'am herself, she has been into HR, and she also has been coaching leaders in her organization, that was TCS, and she also intends to start up a consultancy of her own, and that would be something, work from home. So that is what she wishes to pursue. And the others also, we were looking at utilizing the experience which we have had into something which is more focused and can really create impact. So how to do that, and what are the inputs or the support that we can get from the speaker here, wherein actually we can get involved with these things. So basically, kind of how to go about it. Uh, One, she said, you seek a mentor or a coach. So wherever it is possible, and many times you will get it on a pro bono basis as well. So we would like to get started. So that was the discussion there, that how do we actually go about it? In case you share some example, wherein how did you approach a particular situation, and how did you lead it into a full involvement there? So if you share some real use case, that would be helpful. So
Sure.
that's what was there in group one. If any of the group members would like to add something to it, kindly do that.
Yeah, so what we can do, Lalit, is we can take that question, Leanne, we can take that specific question once they finish sharing. So group two, who would be the spokesperson?
This we had a talk. Amar is almost 67 years old, and he's in the finance side, and he's thinking of coming back to do something more important. What he think he should do at this juncture of his life. Uh, I'm located in Bangalore, and after completing 35 years of government service. I am into a totally different field, working on so many fields, keeping me very busy. It's shooting, photography, cooking, uh, part-time consultancy, and even looking after consulting for a hospital establishment.
Wonderful, Anup. Leanne, we found someone here who wears different hats also.
Amazing.
So room three was Anil, Fani, and Madhavan, who would be speaking to summarize.
Yes, madam. We have already decided. They asked me to speak on the
Okay.
the forum. So
All right.
actually, it was very interesting breaking out the three of us,
Yeah.
Fanny and Anil and me. So Fanny, Anil and me are from Hyderabad, and Fanny is from Paris. So
Okay.
she's a close associate of Leanne, and she has worked with her, and she has been working in the remote mode from hybrid kind of location, from sensitized to Paris itself, rather
Okay.
than going to. She has been to Kerala, and she's traveled a lot. But right now she's from only from working from home. So
Okay.
that's what she told me, and then we had a small discussion whether we should ask Leanne about this T kind of structure for learning. So when we have a generalist and a specialist, the present skills, the way world is going, the geopolitics.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the last part. I think
Uh,
he's frozen.
yeah, he's frozen. Yeah.
Are on this point, so when also on occasions we might have to have this structuring, so that we might not only we know the oversight, but we should have some kind of a deep knowledge. For example, the geopolitics and all that, what is happening every day is there is a changing world scenario, and there is a changing tariff rule going on. So what kind of stance we should have? Suppose we are advising as a consultant in this, and it's the CXOs and the CEOs and all that, we are a consultant. So we'll have to tell them what kind of stance they have to take when the world is changing every day and the rules are changing so fast. So this kind of dynamism I'm seeing for the first time. So where we'll have to have a very versatile kind of relationship with the whole concept. So we might have to not only know what is happening in the world around you, but say if you ask an AI engine, we were just thinking out of the box that shale can be a substitute for a good energy crisis today. So shale can be a good substitute. So Fanny also was surprised about this. She didn't know much about this concept. I read somewhere that shale can be some kind of energy substitute. So when people start thinking out of the box and going in for shale rather than conventional oil, so there would be a lot of change. And so this kind of mining of shale would become a big job. And then she asked me about whether who can do this kind of change. So I said it could be the government, not the central government, which can really conceptualize and kind of fund or change the policies in favor of such things. And then it can go to the level of the special. She then talked about the startups. So I said the startups are mushrooming all over, and they can catalyze the change towards that direction where the policy is going. So this would be playing some kind of a symbiotic relationship, and then that would kind of improve the living situations. So this is a brief summary of what happened in our group. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madhavan. So I was in room 5 with Mr. Venkat Narayana because he was alone in that room, and we kind of discussed how he wants to kind of connect with his passion projects, and so he's looking very much to learn music because that's something he really wanted to do. And so we were discussing that when we came back to the main room. Room 5, we have Mohammed, Naresh, Ritu, and Ayam Singh. So who's speaking for them? One of you can summarize.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it, Swati.
Sure, Ritu. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So very briefly, Swati, our discussion focused around AI itself. And Charlie was the person who was actually handling most of our queries. Shamin also gave a few of his inputs. So basically our, discussion centered around AI being so vast and, so multifaceted that we were all kind of getting lost in this ocean. And, the position that we've come in, the youngsters are kind of intimidating us because they seem to know everything and we are kind of floundering our way through. The moment you learn one thing, the next big thing comes on the AI, scenario, and you're left grappling, whether to, kind of, so it's becoming
Yeah.
really difficult to keep pace. So
Right.
that is where the discussion was, and Charlie, kind of gave his insights and inputs on that. We talked about, so his, main focus was AI for governance being most important. He talked about the ethical aspects of AI,
Yeah.
and that being, more important than the very finer aspects of it, which can kind of be learned over time or whatever. So it was more about governance and about ethical practices and how, AI should be used with integrity. So that is what his this thing was. I asked him about, where would be a module kind of a course for people at our level, who have
Right.
20, 30 years of experience. It's
Yeah.
very difficult to keep going, because every platform is giving you some course on AI. So, I was more keen on maybe not more than 2 weeks, of a kind of a capsule course, which just gives us more like a, umbrella,
Correct.
this thing on it. So that is
True.
where this thing was. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ritu. Leanne, I think your group is up next.
And we have Diane sharing.
Diane.
Hi, I'm Diane. I'm based in Singapore. I think Sanjeev
So,
and I were,
have a
I can't
question.
speak for Sanjeev, but
Dr.
I was also
Lalitha.
pleasantly surprised to see that Leanne was put in our group. And we talked, I think Leanne very kindly helped to answer my question, which was about the kind of good questions that you should ask when you meet someone at a networking event. We talked about how when you meet people, it should be authentic, and you should treat them as people, not as their jobs. So you should ask questions that are open-ended, so don't ask yes or no questions, and ask them their opinion on things, so that you get to understand and really know how they think. Also getting to know them as people, maybe what they like to do outside of work also helps, because they realize that you're treating them as another human being, and you're not just networking with them for any other kind of special benefits. Yeah, we also talked about learning, a lot about learning, and about how you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but how we should be very open when it comes to learning, and that we should not treat it as in we should always look to be more open about learning, essentially. We also talked a little bit about Vancouver and Toronto, and I learned that Toronto is very cold in winter, so visit in summer. Yes. Okay.
Learn
Never been to Canada,
something
so
new.
thanks, useful information. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Diane. And the last group is Amanda, Harsh, and Sunil.
Yeah. Hello all. Good evening. This is Vijay here, and we had Amanda, Sunil, and Harsh in our room. Thanks to the breakout partners for expressing their views. We were talking about how do we keep ourselves up to date with what is happening around us, be it in our industry, or be it in the area where we are passionate about it. So as everyone is different, everyone had a different preferences of how they learn. But the summary is predominantly we learn through books, and of course now with the advent of AI technology, we are also using AI tools. Some of the people, and then through networking activities, networking clubs, we can go and learn a lot of things. Then we also learn through mentoring others, and also learning from them, young people. And very other, I loved the idea what Sunil mentioned is learning from others with their lived experiences, right? So that will give us, a lot of insights about how they are solving the problems, kind of thing. And then, of course, we can also learn by helping others, which Harsh is doing. So these are the different ways, we can learn from others, and, we can keep ourselves up to date on what is happening. And thanks to my team for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you.
To represent. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone who took part and who spoke. And it was a very interactive experience. What I want to say is the one of the efforts that Curiosity Talks is trying to do is just that. trying to bring inspirational stories to all of you so that we learn by getting motivated, we learn by the pivots that people have taken, we learn by the new learning that people here have taken up. One thing I think, Leanne, we could do is maybe answer Lalit's question on a used case through which yeah, Lalit, you want to ask the
Uh,
question yourself?
yeah. No, I basically wanted to. One thing is that Leanne's story is indeed inspiring, and congratulations to her for all that she has achieved and the manner in which she has approached it. So that is something which is fantastic. Now, the next step would be how can your story inspire and lead into practical outcomes for the audience here?
Yes. Thank you for asking the question, Lalit, and thank you, Swati, also for summarizing. So I'll say I would not guarantee results, right? Because you still ultimately own your own path. Everyone is different, as somebody else mentioned earlier. But what I can give to you is, again, like what has worked for me, some of the steps that I have taken, which were, again, to reiterate. So I did a lot of research into the areas that I was interested in. In the beginning, I just wanted to do something that was high impact. So there were so many high impact causes. I didn't know where to start. So I started talking to people who I knew who were in the impact space. And through talking to many people, I started to narrow down my focus to education, to water, AI safety. So these three are still currently some of my main areas that I'm interested in. And then through that, I started researching into those sectors. What are some of the companies, organizations that are doing good work? So after all that company research, again, using AI, then I started looking for jobs, right? Either applied for jobs that were actually posted, or if there was a company, there were a few companies that I was very interested in, but they were not hiring. So I just reached out cold on LinkedIn. One person reached out to me, like replied to me, and I had a good conversation with her. They were not hiring, but I had a good conversation with her, and I'm still in touch with her. So I guess I'm always thinking about, like, every connection doesn't have to result in an immediate positive outcome, because again, like a lot of the connections I've made with people maybe 10 years ago, they're still coming back now to offer me advice, and maybe I'm also offering something back. So I don't see human relationships as transactional, but really like a longer term relationship, right? So going back to the application stage, I guess, yeah, just being very targeted with your resume, with your cover letter. Always write a cover letter. I know even as a recruiter, I don't always read every single cover letter, but when somebody does send a cover letter over, and if it's not too long, if it's succinct, then I will read it. And if it jumps out, what the message jumps out at me is like, this person can potentially do the job, then I will give that person a go, even before I read the resume. That's me as a recruiter. Every recruiter is different, but that's how I approached it. So I always take the time to write a good cover letter, resume. I do use AI to help me draft a cover letter, and I use AI to help me understand if my resume is relevant to the job. And maybe at this point, I'll also go back to somebody, Ritu. I think Ritu's group was saying that you feel a little bit behind with AI. And I hope, like, it can be very daunting, very overwhelming, because even for me, every day AI is evolving, AI changes so fast, right? What I would say is get the basics done, like understand AI safety. I would say really be safe, like just like anything on the internet, especially so with AI. Understanding what are the guardrails, what can you share with AI, what can you not, because what do you put into AI? If you're using a free AI model, it is being used to train that AI. So how comfortable are you sharing personal sensitive things with them, right? And trust that AI is not going to be always accurate, so you have to vet AI's results. So knowing the basics, using how to use AI safely, I would just say, yeah, you can take courses, you can do whatever, but just use it. When you're using something, you play with it, you practice with it, then you will learn as you go. If you're a person who wants to read and learn something before you actually try, okay, then read and learn. There are a lot of courses out there, but maybe just complement it with the trying as well. Practice and learn at the same time. Especially because AI is changing so much. Maybe what you're learning from a class today would have already changed by next week. So just don't feel like you're behind, because if you don't start now, then maybe next week you would be behind. But at least if you start today, you are 1 week ahead of next week. Just take it one step at a time. I'm still learning. I'm still practicing. So don't feel like you're behind. Going back to the application stage. So when it comes to interviews, there were many times when people just outright asked me, why am I making the move to the social impact space? What do I have to contribute? And sometimes people are open to what I have to contribute. Sometimes they reject it because they're like, you don't understand social impact sector, right? I can't change people's mind. I can try, but I cannot control that. So just understanding also that you cannot change the outcome, but you do your best. So how I do my best is, again, doing the research, being prepared to explain how you can transfer your skills, how you can contribute with your experience, having concrete examples. One thing I like to use, and I tell my candidates before as well, is the STAR approach, STAR. So when you explain any experience you have, explain the situation, the STAR S situation. T is for the task. So there was a situation, the context, what was the task that you had to do? A is, what is it now? STA. The action that you actually took, right? So the task that you were supposed to do, A is the action that you actually did, R is result, STAR. So this structure, you don't have to tell the people like, this is the situation, this is the task, but if you explain your story like that, this structure will help explain succinctly how you came into a situation that you were supposed to do a task on, what you actually did, the action, what resulted from that. Maybe it was a failure, but maybe you learned something from it. That could also be a result, right? Exactly. Thank you, Vijay. Yes. So using such an approach in an interview can help you stay structured, can help you explain your value proposition to the hiring team. And then at the end, really, it is up to them to make a decision. You can try to get a referral into an organization that you're interested in. You can try to network your way through, right? If you are online, like if you are comfortable with it, I personally am not, but if you want to post on LinkedIn or post on Instagram, whatever online platforms you might want to use, you can post about your achievements, not is a boastful way, but like how, maybe in a way like, this is what's happening in the world. This is my opinion, something like that, and how you would want to remedy a situation. I don't know, right? So having an online presence could help. It's not mandatory, but I've seen it helping some people to have more of a brand about themselves, like have a brand as a candidate, potential candidate for a company, right? Because these days when companies are hiring, they do look at everything online that you post, even if you have like public photos of you and your family, for example, right? So just be careful also about your online presence. Be very curated about that. I know we're at time, so I don't want to keep going, but there are a lot of things. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to continue the conversation as well. This is for everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, Leanne. So since we are on 6 o'clock, I think I'm just going to close with one very important aspect, which people in this group and in this demographic and in WisdomCircle, have a lot of them have held senior leadership roles. And they don't have, or they have very little experience in the social sector. So could you address how they approach this transition in case they want to make it?
Yeah, so similar to what I was saying before, I guess, just don't assume you have all the solution. There's always nuances, context. So listen to understand, be a thought partner. There's a lot you can give with your experience, with your skills that could complement how things could be done. So I think we can all learn from one another. So be open to unconventional ways of learning with one another, working with one another, be scrappy. But most importantly, I would say, like, don't lose a passion, like find a cause that really resonates with you. Otherwise you're going to be dreading it. But if you find something that you really truly care about, then you will, at least I can speak for myself, I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. And right now I'm working with a group that's encouraging volunteering. I'm working with a group that's education based. So I'm doing what I love, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you, Leanne, for taking us on this exciting journey that you have been on. And I'm sure those of you who would like to continue this conversation can connect with you on LinkedIn. And we hope to have you back for more conversations in the future. Thank you to everyone who's been part of this hour with us. And see you next time. Leanne has posted her LinkedIn connection link. So those of you who would like to can please click on that. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you,
Great
everyone.
evening to everyone. I'm very privileged to
you.
come onto this forum.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Chandra.
Good night to everyone.
Thank you, Chandra.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, Smriti.
Thank you. Thank you
I
so
think
much.
I'm the oldest member of this group. Feel so good about it.
Age is just a number.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
I wish I could tell my husband that when he's yeah, but I think it's just a number. It's how
Yeah.
you look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're here to learn and being curious. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All
Chandra.
right. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
And,
Bye.
and
Bye.
any
Thank you, Lalit.
All
Thank you,
right.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Mansi.
Bye. Thanks,
Thank you,
Mansi.
Fatima.